You know you've had a good day at the auction when you got to borrow somebody's truck that's bigger than your own to bring it all home. Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And you guys could see I scored big at the Hudson Valley Old Time Equipment Auction. So we're going to talk about the purchases. Let's start out with the elephant in the room, and this really was the elephant. This thing was heavy to get loaded and so forth. I had to let the air out of the front tires to get it out of the truck, and you could roughly see right from the top of your head that it probably has an engine problem. I was told it had an engine problem because the fans weren't working. Started out as an electrical problem. And then the engine started to get into trouble. I'm not quite sure why they pulled the engine out. I think when he welded that plate on the bottom, he had dreams of cobbing a different engine onto it, and he just didn't get there. I'm kind of happy I picked it up because the drive system, other than the motor, seems to be okay, right? And I got, various covers and so forth, including the side covers. I did not get this top piece, but I'm hoping that it's on one of the others. So other than some faded plastics, the cosmetics are good. The tires are really nice. This thing didn't go all that far before it stopped moving. Anyway, bought it as a project. I paid $270 for it. The auction activity on this was actually cool. It started at $5. Right? So it went from 5, somebody bid 50, somebody bid 100, and I just like, well, this is going up. I need to scare a few people off. So I went 200. When I went 200, my partner in crime, Charlie, said that there were people in the back of the crowd who went like, 200, what the hell? And, started sounding off. Then I kind of got into a challenge which brought me up to 270. I wanted to stop at 250, and I kind of have a feeling I might have been bidding against its owner. So when it went 250, he said, going once, going, and I said 270. And I got it. And I kind of, once again, I have the feeling the owner kind of jumped in and bid up against me a little bit. So, whatever. 270, the transmission is worth that. The tires are worth half of that. The seat's worth, over $100. So I did okay. From a parts point of view, I did good. And I really like to pay parts price for things, and I paid that for that all-terrain vehicle. Next up, we got this pit bike. I think the engine's dead. I didn't spend that much time on it. I paid $100 for this, and anybody who deals with these things, the back tire assembly is worth $100. So back to the parts, right? I do have the front. I don't have the axle for the front. I got to put that on to turn it into a roller. Cosmetically, I mean, we've seen a lot worse. We've also seen a lot better. The nice thing about these things, you can buy the plastic for like $50, $30, depending on the quality you get. So, once again, it was an even 100. I'm probably going to pull the engine and get it up to, I think I have a 125, not positive, but I think I'm going to put a 125 on it. This one seems to have the extended swing arm, also kind of important for when big people ride these things. If not, you have a tendency to put yourself too far back. These are perky. And the engine's perky, especially if you put the 125 on there. So you got to pay attention so you don't get dumped on your tail, right? Watch the bike wheelie away from you as you hit the pavement. So the extended arm will help with that. I bought it, once again, I was thinking parts, and I think I did okay from that point of view. All right, let's talk baking trays. These are aluminum. I ended up, what happened is I won the bid for 10, right? It was 60 bucks for 10, and there was a second pile right next door. So they offer you, do you want a second pile for 60? And I said yes. So I spent 120 bucks on these. I got 20. I love these because you're able to do stuff like this, or on the all-terrain vehicles, right? It keeps things nice and dry, right? It keeps the water off of the motor. I mean, they're just excellent for going through parts and everything else. So I was really happy to get these for $6 each. Next up is this pile of plexiglass. It's probably the size under 1/4 inch, however many mils that is. This one might be 1/4 inch. I don't know if they had a display. The guy had a lot of this. I think there were 4 piles. I bought 10 pieces, and you can see the biggest size. I don't know, I think that's got to be 4 by 4, right, from that corner to that corner square. And then these smaller pieces. The entire pile, 11 pieces, were 70 bucks. Even though this is used plexiglass, you are not getting, that's like 30 by 40, might be 48. And that's the small piece. The big piece, you know, probably bigger than 4 foot by 4 foot. It's hard to tell because it's also on that little platform there. Anyway, all of that, 70 bucks. I thought it was a great deal. He offered me another pile for that money, and I'm like, yo, I just, you know, I'm going to have a hard enough time taking care of this plexiglass without destroying any of it. Never mind doubling the amount I get. So, once again, I don't know if anybody's bought plexiglass lately. Stuff is crazy expensive. I got that Jeep up in the under the carport. I'd really kind of like to fix that up. Get a golf cart roof on it, plexiglass windshield, stuff like that. So that's what I was thinking. There's a few other projects with the golf carts and all I'd like to use plexiglass for. Or once again, God forbid you bust a window in the house, it's handy to have a piece of plexiglass that you can kind of tape into place, right? You just kind of cut it, score it with the grinder, and snap it off carefully, and you know, you got something in a window until you could get it replaced. I paid 10 bucks for this used diamond plate. I don't know if anybody's bought any diamond plate lately. This is like 4 foot tall, 2 foot wide. It's a little damaged on the edge. This is probably somewhere around 2 by 2. See, it was notched out for some purpose. Aluminum diamond plate. This stuff too is crazy expensive. I don't know, you can see the thickness there. You know, a lot of times you're working on a project and it's like, God, if I just had a square diamond plate to finish that off, you know, to make it look like something. Right, it feels like you could do a better job once again in completing a project. So 10 bucks, I thought that was a steal. This is the last thing I bought. It was the end of the auction, the last few spots. We were going to load up the Lanai there, and you guys could see this is an old Craftsman router table. The router works. It's sitting here to be near the plug, right? It's even got a bid on it. This was $5. I was the only bid. He started at 5. I paid him 5. I was happy with 5. What I'd like to do is actually use this for metal. Put a metal cut in bit in there, and then when I make the mounting plates for the all-terrain vehicles, kind of bolt them up to a little bigger piece of metal because they get as hot as heck. And I also don't want to put my hand so close to a bit spinning at 10,000 RPM. But a lot of times, particularly the center hole, is hard to make perfect. It seems that for whatever reason, when you go to drill the center hole, the drill bit skids a little bit, and it never seems to center up properly between the two ends. So I have a tendency to darken the area that needs to be removed, and then I kind of route out the material so that the big center hole is centered between the two mounting holes in a much neater fashion. Anyway, I was going to use this table to do that. It was a good day up at the auction. I always seem to meet a couple of subscribers. Ran across one guy, Jameson, young man, him and his dad. They watch my stuff, and he says he's got a bunch of equipment, a bunch of all-terrain vehicles he wants to get rid of. So that's one thing I have to follow up on. I also made a few contacts at the Rhinebeck Car Show that I need to follow up on. I've just been crazy busy. It's time to cut grass again and all that other stuff. So it's been busy. Quickly, Charlie was up there with me. That was Charlie's truck in the beginning of the video. He picked up something interesting. He paid like $250 for it, and it was a telephone generator. You know, those things you crank in the olden days, and then you call into a switchboard and the operator plugs you into the next person before dial phones. So there was an antique crank generator, right? And next to that was a telegraph key from back in that same time period. And then there were a couple of different sounding devices. One was a set of bells for the telephone, and one was some kind of buzzer, and one I think went with the telegraph key so you could hear your dots and dashes from a bunch of miles away. Anyway, they were all mounted on a board with the wires put down properly and all that. Once again, he paid about $250 for it, and I don't know if you've looked at period correct pieces. The hand crank generator, if I had to come up with a guess, that's probably over $100 right there. The time correct telegraph key, I don't know, 50 or so. And the other three things between the bells and all, if you put 50s on them, you get your $250. Charlie does some narration at historic site that thing would be time period perfect. He does some narration when it comes to trains and all that kind of stuff. So having that key for demonstrating the telegraph, that this is how they sent messages, and talk about the generator and the telephone bells and all that kind of stuff, it'd be pretty cool. The bells might also be from if you got to kind of wake up the operator on the other end. Once again, I'm old, but not that old, where I use these things. So anyway, he found that. But it was a cool weekend. It was great. Jameson, I'll get back to you. Ethan from Rhinebeck, I'll get back to you too. Just give me a little bit of time to get my act together. I've kind of got me a big mess I'm dancing with. I want everybody to keep their feet down, their heads up, and to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Don't worry, the next video will be about a Honda. Bye now, folks.